Welcome to the GSTL. I am Wolf, and with me is Caldor, and today we have the opening match of Team Liquid making their first solo debut in the GSTL. They are playing against longtime team ZENEX, the combination of Zenith and Nex. How are you feeling today, Caldor?
I'm feeling really excited. I just talked a little bit to the Team Liquid team, and wow, they are so ready for today's match. It's really unbelievable.
Now,
Those
the
guys
coach
are pumped.
appears to be Genro, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly.
So Genro is going to be leading the strategic charge, making the decisions. And as far as I know, also there are 5 Team Liquid players here today because a lot of the other players are traveling right now. So basically, to defeat Team Liquid, you have to defeat each person on that bench, man.
Yeah. And, well, I talked a little bit to Dario, and he was like, yeah, it's obviously a bit of an upset that Teja is missing today. But I will just have to play better. That's kind of what he said, and it's really... It's pretty cool. They are really ready for this. They are not... I don't know, they're not tensed up, they are not like nervous. They're really, really excited to play. Dario is bouncing up on the bench, and you really can tell that he wants to go into the booth and wants to play today.
I can tell he is super ready to get in that booth and start going.
I just took a couple of really awesome pictures, by the way. I couldn't take one of our opening player, but from all the other players, we have a picture with sunglasses. I just tweeted them. If you want to check them out, they are at Caldor, and they look so funny, especially Heypro. He was like, I don't want to get a picture with sunglasses. I look stupid in sunglasses. And then at first he takes them on. It looks really good, and then he suddenly starts to posture, and it looks so weird. It was awesome.
There needs to be like a sitcom about Heypro, man. Can you imagine a sitcom about Heypro?
Do you remember that one interview that he had with Hotbit?
No, which one?
I don't know when exactly it was taken, but it was just half an hour of pure trolling. Both of them trolling each other. It was so funny. It was ridiculous.
Heypro is like, from the surface, you think he is one way, but when you talk to him, you see that there's like so much more to Heypro than you think. Like when you see his play, you're like, he seems like kind of a quiet guy. Like even in his play style, you're like, I bet he's a quiet guy. Like I bet he just kind of sits back, and his personality is one of those just practicing types. Like doesn't have much of a real open personality, outgoing. But actually, if you see Heypro in person, he may try to hide behind that persona, but there's something beneath.
Yeah.
We're going to take a look at some of the information for these two teams. Of course, Team Liquid has played with OGS in the past. This is their first time at their solo debut. You can see their record, of course, has them with no wins and no losses as a result. ZENEX, one of our weaker teams in the GSTL as far as results go. 2 wins, 9 losses. A team that's been a little bit struggling right now. And to be perfectly honest, I think they probably looked a little bit stronger than OGS last season, but other than that, their appearances have thus far been relatively weak. They were able to get an all-kill against the former foreign Epix Open team 2 seasons ago with ZENEX Hack taking them out. But he's no longer even on the team ZENEX, and many of ZENEX's star players have fallen to other teams. Yeah. You have Coca, you have Puzzle, you have Hack. They're no longer on the team. So
exactly, you're perfectly right about it. So today is going to be also the day where the foreign team can prove themselves. They are one of the 2 that are participating in the GSTL. Of course, we have also Fnatic playing with players like Nightend and Todd. And they will play next Monday, if I'm not mistaken. We'll have a look at which kind of matches we have coming up at the GSTL after today's broadcast. Now we're concentrating a little bit on Liquid against ZENEX, and
the first map is going to be Cloud Kingdom.
Exactly.
In fact, so this is going to be a really exciting opening match. I'm not going to say who the players are just yet.
No, we'll wait a little bit. You guys will
find out in just a minute. But you know, I want to ask you your personal opinion. Do you think there's a favorite today? Do you think one of these teams is more favored than the other to get out?
I don't know. The thing is, I've been to so many Code A qualifiers, always rooting for the foreigners and trying to see if they can advance. Dario played very well in this week's Code A qualifier, but he was not able to make it into Code A. He lost in the final to TSL Shine. I think that Team Liquid, they can take it. If they really show their best game today, they will be able to make it, in my opinion.
ZENEX showing some new uniforms here. This is something I really like because you know what that says is that they're very serious. Now, obviously, these uniforms are very simple. They're just nice t-shirts that say ZENEX in the corner of them. But you know what? That simplicity, that commitment, though, to the simplicity is one thing, but the commitment to getting a new team, showing like a new face here, means that they're very, very serious. And I really like to see that. We're going to take a look at ZENEX's roster. You can see who remains on ZENEX, what their strong players are, what their lineup's going to look like today.
The thing with ZENEX is that we always had players stepping up and taking charge, taking responsibility that were not really all that known. You knew about them, but you would not think that they were that good. So it's just about the shape that they're in currently, and we'll see what exactly we'll find out today, because against StarTale last time was already really impressive.
Yep. Well, here is their lineup. Obviously, we have Suho, Sheno, aka Lion. There's Life.
Their Zergs are really good.
Of course, Pet, quite well known as well.
He played so well in the Code 8 qualifier.
Look at Mentalist is coming in here. He's actually changed his ID back to his old ID, Mental, here. And finally, we do see Stream.
Extreme played
Sparta,
so well last
Harrier.
season.
Both of those players, Extreme and Harrier, qualifying for Code A at the qualifier just days ago.
Not at all surprised that Extreme was able to make it. He played so well in last GSTL season, so they have a lot of good players, especially Suoshin and Life. Those two, they are really amazing Zerg players.
And in Korea, all of these players are so well known. If you think about like ZENEX's lineup from the perspective of a foreigner, you're like, well, I don't know. None of these guys really play in the individual league. They haven't really shown themselves all too much. But actually, as far as ladder points go, their results online, and how scary they are when you play against the ladder, everybody knows who ZENEX Stream is. Everybody knows that. He actually used to use the ID Next Stream before ZENEX was even formed. Here, anyway, is Team Liquid using the song Liquid Lives by Hodoken. Pretty cool song choice. And today, just 5 players. General leading the charge strategically, as I mentioned before. We've got 2 Koreans on the team with Zenio and Hero. Of course, a German with Dario. And 2 Swedes with Jinro and Hapro. A pretty sick lineup globally, you know?
Yeah, it's a pretty small lineup today. They're still waiting for reinforcements. But it's gonna be a good one. I'm so excited about today's GSTL. Actually, the GSTL in general. We had amazing matches yesterday. The first 2 games come to mind in particular, but today is going to be good as well. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a great week.
Yep. Well, here we are going to take a look at the full lineup for Team Liquid and their first individual appearance. Their players are, in fact, dropping down right now. You can see Jinro, Tasia, and Hero. Jinro having arguably some of the best results of a foreigner in Code S. There is Zenio, Tielo, and Hapro stacking up the rest of the roster.
Yeah, most of them are currently in Code B. Jinro was not able to pass the Code A qualifier. I'm not 100% sure to who he lost this time. Did he lose to Choya? I actually don't know. I think they faced each other in the grid. It was a semi-final, and in the final he would have been... we went through the grids yesterday, but there were so many players that participated. I can't actually remember the exact name of his opponent that defeated him in the end. But yeah, we're going to...
What?
Well done, Jay.
What? We were just on camera, it's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah. But the queue was like... Sorry, I can't get past this.
No, it's fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. Yeah, that's cool.
Do you know what I actually looked up today? I went to YouTube because someone linked me a video, and one of the thingies that were related was actually Kaldor having a mental breakdown at GSL. So I looked it up, and it was one of the things where I completely lost my train of thought, and he was standing there. It's fine. Breathe. Calm down. Calm down. Take 2. Go. It was actually so funny. I couldn't even. I couldn't remember it anymore.
I gotta look this up. I know you've had a few breakdowns with the up and down groups and trying to figure that out, but
that was brilliant. I couldn't even remember it, and I looked at it, and this kind of reminded me of it. Near, calm down, breathe, deep breath, and go.
That's so funny, man. I wanted to ask you a question. If you had, if you were on the team ZENEX, what would you make your ID after like the ZENEX, and then what would you make your ID? Would you just be ZENEX Kaldor, or would you come with a new funny idea? Like if you had like
with IM, it's easier. With IM, it's easier, you know.
Because I decided today that if I joined ZENEX, I would change my ID to ZENEX Girlfriend.
Okay.
I think that's... No, but you don't think that's funny?
Yeah. No. That's actually good. I wouldn't have come up with it, but...
Like, I was thinking about next stream, and I was like, nah, there's better he could have done here. Like, if he's going to use X, there's so many different words that start with X.
Yeah, but I think the IM team is way better
Well, of
for
course,
those
yeah.
names.
But this one is just like a more specific situation.
I still want to have intro songs for each player, and then I want to have I'm Sexy. And I want to know what kind of intro song he's going to pick.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to see. I think that's something we may have in the future, intro songs. I mean, those are becoming more popular in a lot of different leagues right now. And, you know, as long as every player submits a song that's accepted. I actually was watching another league today. One of the players came out and his intro song was the like Wings of Liberty OST, like the song that plays when you log in.
Yeah.
And I was just listening. I was actually like cleaning my apartment. I had the sound on. And I was like, is that really his intro song? And I looked over and it just said Wings of Liberty OST like underneath. I was like,
you would think that they are sick of it by now.
He's a Protoss player also instead of a Terran, so I thought, that's kind of weird, but all right, it happens.
Yeah, they have to wait a little bit longer for their add-on. Zerg is getting the next one, Heart of the Swarm. I keep forgetting it. Did they release the name for the Protoss add-on?
Yeah, Legacy of the Void.
Ah, yeah. All right. Okay.
And I think that's going to be pretty awesome to see. I don't know.
We'll talk about that in another 2 years, I think.
Yeah, well, we will. I think it may be longer than 2 years.
Might be.
I'm like, can you even imagine what StarCraft 3 will be like?
Oh, wait a second. StarCraft 3 will be great. We'll be casting it. But first of all, we need Warcraft 4.
Well,
no.
I don't know if that will ever happen. There's been some debate.
Wolf. No. There's no debate.
Wait,
there is no debate.
Well, here's the question, Calder. If Warcraft 4 comes out, are you gonna quit StarCraft 2 to become a Warcraft 4 person? Or are you gonna like split in half and try to? What are you gonna do?
I will split in half.
Well, so I can only have half of you? Are you gonna go cast with Rotterdam in Warcraft 4? You're gonna leave me like that? Is that what you're gonna do? I'm like, I've already prevented Warcraft 4. I've gone to the future. I prevented it, man.
I will just take you with me. Oh, I will split you in half as well.
I guess I could get into Warcraft 4. I could do that. You weren't a Brood War person. I'm not a Warcraft 3 person. Maybe I could do that. Anyway, here's our opening player.
Exactly.
It's going to be ZENEX Avenge.
Avenge for the ZENEX team. We have a Protoss here.
Yep, Protoss starting player. Code B currently ranked 46. He has played in Code A before. You can see his GSTL stats here. Oftentimes playing better when he comes out later on. But with ZENEX's performance, it's obviously not surprising to see that he's only got 50% there. But that's pretty good considering the results. And he's got an average win rate of 1, which means that basically on average, he comes out and wins at least one game.
And his opponent... Oh, I like his keyboard, by the way.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool keyboard there. And his opponent... You all know he's missing here. It's Liquid Zenio.
Exactly. We have a ZVP in our first match. The Team Liquid bench looks a little bit deserted. It's not only the fact that they have 5 players here, they will soon have 6, but they don't have a designated coach. You know, usually you have a coach as a separate entity, but here it's a player coach, so it's always looking a little bit empty.
Bench.
Exactly.
You know, there's always got to be that suit guy. No suit. If I were a Liquid player, obviously Genero's strategic expertise is going to be pretty good. But if I'm on Liquid, I may want to think about getting someone who has coaching experience to come and help manage the practice. Because if Genero's trying to manage the coaching of the house, as well as trying to do these strategic decisions...
That was one of the reasons, by the way, sorry for interrupting you here, but that was exactly the reason why he did not practice as much as he wanted to for the Code A qualifier.
That's exactly what I was going to say, man. If you're trying to manage all of this, then your practice is not going to be as good. So that's something that's frustrating. But I think, to be honest, I think you would agree with me, with this small of a lineup, with this small of a team living together in the house, they probably all talk within each other, and since there's only 5 of them, for example, on the roster today, they've probably planned this out, and each person has kind of divided the cultural into a 5th, and has taken a little bit of that. They've all kind of worked through this together.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be a ZVP on the map, Cloud Kingdom, just to refresh you guys' memory on the map that we're facing here.
The team spirit here is great. They have an amazing team spirit, and I would really love to see them do well, but on the other hand, we have ZENEX with so many great players, and I want to see Line, I want to see Live, I want to see all these great ZENEX players that we've experienced in the last GSTL.
Well, we're going to find out who we will see throughout today. The first map, Cloud Kingdom, is loading up now. I am Wolf, with me is Caldor. We have ZENEX versus Team Liquid here at the Hot 6 GSTL.
We are on Cloud Kingdom, our first map in this particular Team League match between ZENEX and Team Liquid. And to the bottom left of the map, in the yellow, is our ZENEX player, the Protoss. Starting player for the ZENEX team, it is none other than...
ZENEX! Avenge!
I wonder who he's avenging.
Yeah, so far he's the first player.
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank here. No idea.
I don't know.
Can you come up with any?
I can't. I have no idea, man. That's a mystery.
But we know who he's up against. He's up against the top right position player in the blue, the first Team Liquid player. It is none other than Team Liquid's very own...
Liquid Genio!
I love new Street Fighter voice.
Ooh. Not only did he pause, but we get to see him like a little bit stressed out there for a second. He's about to say what the issue is in chat.
He paused the game and immediately, from every angle possible, there are like 20 admins streaming towards his booth. So, yeah, apparently something with the keyboard, I guess. That's what we usually have, some issues with the keyboard, with the peripherals in general, and we'll find out soon enough. Maybe something with the sound settings too, we had that in the past.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that it happened in the early seconds of the game. As long as it happens in the first few seconds, it's fine, and the game is not really, it's not influenced in any perspective. So as soon as it happens later on, when there's a huge fight, we had that in the past where a player just starts waving and nobody really sees what's going on.
Yeah, we saw that with Virus, man. That was a tough thing to watch.
That was really a tough one. Suddenly him at 2,000 minerals, and we are both like, why isn't he building anything? And suddenly, oh, look at the camera at the bottom right. He's actually looking really stressed out here. He can't do anything for some reason.
It says that basically that his settings are messed up, and
his settings.
Wait for a second, yeah. Yeah, he didn't set his hotkeys, so.
Okay, that's bad. Zinio did not set up his hotkeys, and
he gets a
therefore,
warning.
Yeah, he gets a warning.
You know what's funny?
He practiced earlier. I saw him in the booth practicing.
Yeah, that's weird. Also, if you're, it depends on how many hotkeys you have set up. Like, you could, if he uses like a ton of different hotkeys, then obviously that's not going to work. But if I were in the situation, I'm like, I only set like 5 things different. I could like press F10 and press H and then like set the hotkeys really quick and then save it. Like while I'm building my drones, I guess I could do that, but maybe that's not what he wants to do. But all right, he's done now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are ready and get back into the game.
Exactly. We are ready to get back into our ZVP. We have Zenio against Avenge. Team battle between ZENEX and Team Liquid.
Yep.
And here we go. Another shot at Zenio.
Yep. We did do his player intro right before he had that issue. We have these colors blue and yellow again that we talked about yesterday, but I have to say, with Liquid and the blue, they look good.
Yeah.
It suits them quite well.
They do. ZENEX, on the other hand, we have the opening player with the pilot on the low ground. No surprise here, going for the Forge first play. Maybe even dropping a Nexus first. I kind of doubt it, but we'll find out. We have already the Forge in making now, and of course the pool for Zenio, who goes for a 14 pool. And of a standard build here on a 2-player map, the Probe Scout arrived in time to spot if there's an early pool, which is not the case. So the Probe now trying to hassle the drone a little bit, block the hatch, and we will have to wait for the Zerglings to free the spot so they can drop down his second base.
Yeah. This is just such a frustrating thing to deal with for a Zerg, but as soon as he saw the Probe, he went for pool first. May have been a map he wanted to hatch first on, but when the Probe comes first, it's impossible. It can't be done. Now he's going to have to make 4 Zerglings, so that will be slightly delayed by the pylon. He'll have to use them to kill that. And there they are, 4 Zerglings and the Queen on the way for Team Liquid's Zenio. There goes the Nexus down for our ZENEX player. Now, Avenge, I'm wondering what sort of strategy we're going to see him do here against Zerg, because he's a man of very aggressive strategies, but he can play a turtling style as well. We've seen both from him.
Zenio, on the other hand, is pretty good against Protoss in general. It's actually his best matchup. He's pretty decent in ZVZ as well, but the matchup against Protoss is one of his best.
He's got 60% win rate, so that's pretty decent. And he's been in Codas several times.
I looked up his recent match history. He won a match against Mana. That doesn't really count because he's kind of Mana's nemesis. It's actually amazing. Every time you see Mana play against Zenyo, Mana for some reason completely loses track of the game, and Mana would lose to a drone rush by Zenyo. I love Mana, I really do, and I actually want to have him in Korea in order to train. He finished school just recently and has now 1 year as a pro gamer.
I spoke to him in Korea. In Sweden. He said that he definitely planned on coming if he could get the opportunity to.
I talk to him quite often when I cast online tournaments. He sometimes drops in and casts with me. But against Zenyo, that's the one matchup where he always loses, and it kind of freaks him out. But, well, as mentioned, Zenyo good against Protoss.
Double hatch going down for Zenyo right now.
And Avenge is in his best matchup here as well.
Yeah. Well, with this fast hatchery from Zenyo, what will Avenge do to reply?
We've seen faster hatches from Zerg, sometimes even at 4 minutes and 20. That's the style that Stefanio made really popular. But now we have the wall in. We had a quick shot here at the entrance, so there is a small gap that he has to block with one of his zealots. And for Avenge, it's going to be the question, what is he going to do? 5-gate pressure, is he trying to take a third, which is really, really difficult on this map.
Oh my god, he's getting the fastest 4 gas I think I may have ever seen.
Double.
And he's already built up 200 gas here. He's not even gotten +1 on his forge. He has a ton of gas stored up.
Which has been spotted.
Yep, and Stargate does get dropped. He will not likely see this with his Overlord, but with the first Void Ray coming out, he'll just show it.
And he knows that there is also double gas at the natural, so with the second Overlord at the bottom right of the main base, he spotted that in the main there's also double assimilator, so he knows there's some kind of text going on.
Yeah, absolutely. You've seen 3 of the gases. Usually you can assume 4. There's not really many times you can take like fast 3 gases and do something with that. Well, we have seen recently in Pro League as well as yesterday this new air style against Zerg, going for carriers as part of the mix, adding Void Rays in as well. Has been something that Zerg's kind of struggle with. If the upgrades come out, if the carrier tech switch is hidden from the Zerg, it can be quite powerful. I don't think we're going to see something like that, but that's something to consider here because this is becoming a more popular composition. It's something that no longer is really a joke or something that can be ignored. It's actually serious. It's something that Protosses at the highest level are actually starting to do.
Yeah, you're right about it. I mentioned it yesterday when we had the game going on that Titan kind of uses a build that is very similar. He does not resort to carriers, but is more in favor of a huge Void Ray count. But it's basically a very similar strategy. You try to go to air right now, try to overpower Zerg here, and we'll see in the next few weeks if this style is becoming more popular or just something that is occasionally dropped in by a player to surprise his opponent. Right now, we have Zenyo preparing for whatever that could be. We have the Evolution Chamber, we have a standard Roach Warren, he's going for speed, he's just preparing, getting ready for whatever the Protoss throws at him.
Yeah, he's making spores, in fact, with that fast layer going down. And he has not shown his Stargate tech. It has not been scouted at all. He's completely hiding it. He is going to try to go for clean snipes, it looks like, with what he's doing here. He's going up to 3 Phoenixes before showing his units. He could actually send the Phoenixes out right now with the Void Ray and allow the third one to rally in, but he's going to wait, and that's going to make it a little bit more powerful. But Zenyo is kind of blindly prepared for this, and if you blindly prepare for this, it makes it a lot harder to work. It's all going to depend on where the Phoenixes hit. If the Queens are close enough to the Spores, they'll be okay. If they're not going to be okay, to be completely honest.
I like Zenyo's preparation here. He knows about the gas, he knows there's probably some kind of tech, and what else could it be? Blink Stalkers would be an option, some kind of push with +2, but with all the scouting information that he has, I think dropping a few Spore Crawlers against potential DT or airplay is definitely a smart
He's getting
decision.
3 additional Spores as the Phoenixes were shown here. He's got a decent Roach force out. Basically, he's covered for everything. He has kind of everything prepared. He's got Roaches, he's got enough Spores. He will lose 1 Queen here. It's not going to be too big of a problem for him. The question is, will he be able to protect the other Queen, though? It's pretty dangerous where that Queen is right now. He could pick it up and just target it down, even with the Spore there. He is going to actually play it safe, though. He's trying to find stray Overlords. He will get 1, potentially 2 here at the ramp.
And of course, the transition for Avenge has to be Colossi. He expects Hydrolus out of his opponent, which is what Zenyo is doing. He's going for the Hydro Den and the Spine Crawler.
In the main.
And another Queen gets picked off, and this time he has enough Phoenixes to kill it in 1 lift.
The Spire is something that he's now going to spot in the main base as well. But he's not really, I don't think, going to use that Spire, considering this many Phoenixes are already out. It's going to be fairly easy. Look at this. He's killing so many Overlords. Zenio has had to make a ton extra.
And he's building additional Spore Crawlers here because he realizes how much Avenge really committed to this. Avenge didn't get the initial normally you just attack with one Void Ray at maybe 2 Phoenixes. You can go for more depending on how much you want to harass, but he is really committing a lot to this before he starts his Colossi transition. Extended Thermal Lance is now on its way, while Liquid Zenio is getting the first few, well, he's getting additional roaches, but he has a range upgrade for the Hydralisk, so he will get Hydras as soon as he needs to. Trying to prevent a third here, at least spots that the army of ZENEX Avenge is getting in position, and he knows that there's going to be a third base.
Yep. And there it got, well, he actually messed up his Nexus placement there. He's going to need to redo that. And he will make it now. Burrow is on the way. The Zergling Forest is continuing to poke, trying to keep him away from the middle of the map with his main army. He wants to slow down this Colossus push. There's just the one Void Ray in the mix with the Colossus. It has full hit points though. Did not really take any damage from the attacks early on. He's continuing to use these Phoenixes to scout around. I think he wants to get some units for free if he can find any, but he's not going to waste energy otherwise. He's going to catch some Overlords. Zenio is already maxed on Overlords though. He's got 200 in his supply bank, so if he loses 1 or 2, it's not going to be too big of a problem for him. And of course, if that means that Avenge loses a Phoenix for no reason, it's going to be terrible. He will actually catch a Queen here, and that's going to put the Queen count back down to 2. 2 Queens to 3 hatcheries, the 4th one on the way is less than ideal, extremely so.
The transition into Infestors is going to be very, very important, and also he can go for Hive, which Avenge is preparing with a Fleet Beacon.
Is he preparing for Hive, or is he preparing for Carriers? That's the question. Because he could potentially just go right into Carriers from here.
We'll find out soon enough, but definitely also for the Hive tech, he needs to make sure that he has the potential mothership.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, he absolutely has to. You're right. Without the mothership, there will not be any way to deal with the Broodlords. But he's actually scouted in his opponent's main base that there's still no Hive. And 12 Corruptors are on the way here. That's something that's going to be great for multiple reasons. It's going to help him shut down these Phoenixes for one. It's going to be good for the Colossi as well. He has to make that many.
The problem with he's going for the Anion Pulse Crystals.
Yeah, getting that range upgrade for Phoenixes.
The problem that I have with the carrier transition on this map is that it's much harder to pull off. We saw the game with the carriers was played on Entombed Valley, where you can take 3 to 4 bases very easily as Protoss. On this map, it's a bit harder to get a 4th and a 5th base, so you have to be very careful if you really commit this much gas and also the minerals into a carrier attack. And I would rather see the Mothership as a preparation, and the Anion Pulse Crystals will just make sure that he has a good chance against Corruptors.
Yeah, you know the
I like it.
The range upgrade for the Phoenixes actually gives them equal range to Corruptors, so they don't have to fight so desperately like we just saw there. And if you have equal range with better speed, you can actually kind of outmaneuver them. Oh, he's going to catch these Overseers here. This is so important. It's a lot of gas spent there, and also with the with no Overseers, he's going to have to make more because he knows that the potential for the Mothership is there. Some Zealots are actually going to go for a run-by potentially over here at the north base for Zenio. They've stopped a little bit short. Now they're going in.
At the same time, the Hive tech started, and here come the Zealots trying to do some damage. He's focusing down the one Spinecrawler that's currently building. The Spinecrawler is completed, the second one as well, and I don't think that those Zealots will do too much. One of the Spinecrawler dies, but it gives him the time to just reinforce his defenses and make sure that these Zealots are not able to attack the economy.
The Zealots are at much worse upgrades than the units of Zenio right now, who is at 2-1 versus 1-1, with +2 about to finish for his Roaches, and +1's coming up for the Lings as well. So as far as upgrades go, Zenio in a great position here. He's losing a few Roaches at his base over here with these Phoenixes.
He's losing too much in total.
He's lost so many Queens.
Not only the Queens, the Overlords, a few Roaches every now and then, also the double Robo now for Avenge. He's just preparing for everything. He might not be maxed out. Zenio is already a 200 supply and has still a huge bank. But he was, so far, the more aggressive player in the player who dominated this game.
No.
And whoa! That is a huge, huge misstep. He did not realize that there was a gap between those gateways. He has to retreat right now. Actually looks kind of funny.
This is such an awkward position for Avenge, who may lose some sentries. He will definitely lose his sentries. And now the Corruptor's going for the Colossi. Good micro, though, from Avenge. His Phoenixes are nowhere to be seen. Now he's sending them back. They could have done a lot more tanking for those Corruptors, though.
The Great Aspire is on its way. We have Neural Parasite.
Oh, the Phoenixes are actually just going to fight these Corruptors straight up. This is a mistake.
I don't think he did it on purpose. He just placed them over there, and suddenly the Corruptors were just moving in. All of the Phoenixes are already corrupted. They lose a ton of hit points every time they come too close to the Corruptors. Another Queen dies, a bit over-eager.
This is a scary army for Avenge, but it's kind of caught in between a rock and a hard place. He's going to force his way through these spines. The Infestors are coming over here. Neural Parasite is not quite done, but the Colossi are stuck at the back. He does not move them. A fumble hits the Phoenixes, and this is a great engagement for Zenio. We couldn't have hoped for better.
The Colossi are down already, down for the count. We have all these Corruptors, though they don't do anything right now. They can only work with Corruption.
Yeah, he needs these units to come out. He's got 52 Zerlings on the way, a few Roaches as well. Greater Spire is not done, and you're right, man. The Corruptors are now basically dead weight. He's taken out this hatchery.
The Mothership has just been started for Avenge, and Zenio is about to lose his 4th base. He's going for a run-by attack at the bottom right. He's now just walking towards his opponent's 3rd base, tries to put on some pressure, going for the 3-3 upgrades for the ground units. Even the Overlord drop is being researched, but Avenge, he's not wasting any time. He wants to snipe another base. He's heading straight to the 3rd.
Yep.
And forces Liquid Zenio back.
This is so cool. I think he left his hatchery alive on purpose. Potentially. Well, maybe not. He's actually going to go kill it now. If you think about this, I was thinking about this a few days ago, actually. Is it better to kill a hatchery when you have your army there like that? Because if your army moves past, then you can remake the hatchery. But if you leave the hatchery alive, you can just go kill it with like one stalker, and then you have to start your hatchery then, later, than if you had it before. I don't know how to explain what I'm saying, but I think that like in some situations it could be better to leave the hatchery with low hit points. Either way, you see Avenge now able to remake his Colossi. He doesn't have any in his army now, but he's about to have 2. The Mothership will be out, and I feel like his position here is quite strong after killing 2 hatcheries. He can very easily kill this one if he goes now, and he's not going towards the hatchery. He postures towards the bottom right. He's got his 4th base, though, on the way. There's no real way Zenio can punish him, and Zenio is in a really tough spot here. His economy is in total shambles.
Zenio is finally the first Broodlords in the game. He could put those Corruptors to some use by morphing them into Broodlords. That was exactly what he was waiting for earlier, but his tech was not done yet. So at this point, he has to just make sure that he's able to beat the Mothership. That's the one thing that it comes down to. But ZENEX Avenge, he does not have Archons just yet. He can't rely on the Archons, he has to rely on the Stalkers, but there are a ton of them.
Oh, he neurals the Mothership as well. We have cloaked Zerg units doing some damage here. The Broodlords and Roaches cannot be attacked. They are cloaked, and it looks like the Mothership actually moves too far back, so he will start to take some damage here.
He needs to neural again. He's just taking it down instead, but now attacking, and ZENEX eventually drops in supply as Liquid Zenio is able to kill a lot of units.
But there's too many Stalkers.
There are only 3 Broodlords left, and we had 40 Stalkers before the battle started, and there are still 24 left.
He will blink again, and the Infestor does not fungal. It's taken out. More Corruptors going down here, and this battle was a fairly even trade. The problem now for Zenio, though, is these Stalkers cannot be stopped. He will kill the hatchery. He wants to get these Infestors first. A great fungal to deny him, but now his hatchery is completely exposed.
I'm not sure if it's going to die,
Why is he not attacking it?
He can't really risk it. There are too many units now for Zenio. He has all these Infestors, and he does not know exactly how much energy is left, and the reinforcements, they will stream in. Zenio is very cautious. He pulls the drones back, but at this point, Avenge just he doesn't want to overextend.
Yeah,
if he loses those Stalkers, the game is over. He cannot afford to lose them right now. He needs more time.
Yeah, he wants that 4th base up. That's really what he's banking on here. You're right. He does not want to commit to something that may end up losing him the game. He's going to go now, though. And see, this is even riskier than I feel what his situation was in before. The more Zerg units have come out. He neurals an Archon. He will lose the Infestor, though. The Archon not really doing too much damage. He needs to get the hatchet, get out. And I think this is too many Protoss units for him to engage, even with the Broodlords at the back. The Roaches are falling so quickly to the Immortals. The Archon's doing some extra damage.
He neurals the Archons, though. He's ahead in supply. Zenio with the Broodlords doing a ton of damage here. The Stalkers cannot blink in right now. And this is looking better and better for Liquid. But look at the blink in the reinforcements.
Comes to the side, and he kills the hatch and gets out. Still, though, a decent trade for Zenio, who has gotten another hatchery back up at his 3rd base location. Doesn't have a lot of minerals there, but he is mining from there. The biggest problem... Oh, will he catch these Stalkers? No, he does not. The Stalkers will blink down. But the biggest problem for Zenio is this base. This base right here, he needs to do something about it. He has the Broodlords in position to start sieging it up. He has to do this. This is, in fact, why Avenge has not even sent his probes here. He knows they could potentially be fungled from the high ground. He knows the Broodlords are going to go ahead and start shooting at this Nexus.
Well,
Oh,
right
man.
now the Broodlords, that's what it comes down to. The Broodlords earlier, I was really worried about them. I was just about to give Zenio the huge advantage in the fight when those Stalkers from the side blinked in and took down 2 of them. But now we have the rest of the
I think he may
Broodlords
have too
fighting.
much.
And he has too much. He does. He's now in a position where he can take down this army. Those Broodlords are so important. And the Infestors, they still have energy, Wolf.
He just needs.
They still can fungal.
Yeah, he needs a few more Stalkers, and now he just said, "Screw it! I'm gonna send my probes over here. I need the money now." But the Nexus is gonna die. He's gonna find himself long distance mining from here. The Archons are being funneled. They will be taken out. 1 is left. It cannot even hit the Roaches. The Roaches have better range, and the Archon actually escapes with literally 6 hit points left. But it's just not going to be enough. From here,
No.
Zenio will take the game because he has the better economy now.
An amazing match that we've seen. Back and forth action between Avenge and Zenio. And so far it looks really, really good for the Team Liquid player. He is on 4 bases now. He has the supply advantage. He is a 60 supply ahead. Has a nice economy. He has no Broodlords anymore, but 10 Infestors. And he has the Zergling and Roach count to back them up.
Yeah, he's got 2 mining bases versus basically 1 that's almost mined out. I just don't see any way for Avenge to get back in this unless he gets some sort of crazy advantageous engagement. But how can that occur when his
Without
like
a
you said, he has no mothership. He's got Broodlords in the mix. He's got that huge Infestor count at 10 Infestors. He's got the Lings to back them up as well. And right now, Avenge is just desperately trying to hold his almost mined out base.
And here comes the attack by Zenio. He's moving in, drops the Infested Terrans immediately. All these Archons doing a ton of damage, but will it be enough? I seriously doubt it. 150 supply. Liquid Zenio about to punch ZENEX Avenge in the gut. This could be the final hit. It does not look good for the ZENEX team here in the first game.
Nope. It's definitely going to go to Zenio here. Taking out these gateways, the Archons will escape, but those 2 Archons are basically the army of Avenge, who's losing some of his external production here. A Queen gets taken out on the front lines, but these Roaches will not be stopped, at least not yet. More reinforcements coming across the map for Zenio, and it looks very clear to me that Team Liquid will be up 1-0 in this first match.
Completely agree with you. We already have 100 supply lead for Zenio, and that's the GG as Zenio beats Avenge here at the GSTL. Team Liquid against ZENEX, and the first game goes to TL.
And right now I'm watching ZENEX line. He actually just came in the studio. He's changing his shirt like in the middle of the studio, getting ready. I think he might be coming up here pretty soon. But yeah, Zenio's play there just better. Some choice engagements for him that won him that game.
His Broodlords were so important.
Yeah,
in the first fight he didn't have him.
For his Broods were actually really scary, but like I don't know how to explain it. It was basically kind of risky when he decided to get them, but it paid off. Losing those Corruptors in the first fight, if he had lost more, he probably would have lost the game because he wouldn't have had the Corruptors, not the economy to make the Corruptors again and then make Broodlords, but he kept some of the Corruptors alive. That was okay for him. I really strongly feel that Avenge, if he had killed that hatchery then gotten out, would have been in a much better position. But then he went to get the hatch later, and then he lost that fight, and that was like a double whammy to his disadvantage.
He had 40 Stalkers in the next engagement, but he had a huge problem getting these Broodlords, and because of all these Infestors, the Infestor count were the one thing that Zenio really had going for him. He did not have a high count in Broodlords, but the Broodlords that he had with the ground support that was available were enough to just push the Stalkers back, and at some point the Stalkers were not in a position anymore where he could blink forward and snipe his opponent's Broodlords, and it was just going back and back and back, further and further and further, and he could not blink in anymore. He tried to snipe the Broodlords with a few reinforcements, but Zenio was able to react in time, targeted down every single one of the Stalkers, and then carried the momentum into his opponent's 4th, killed the 4th base, and he was on 2 mining bases, whereas Avenge lost everything. He doesn't have any income anymore.
Yeah. It was basically an impossible to recover from situation from there. Had he killed the hatch and gotten out and continued to build his army up while he secured that 4th base, he might have had a chance. In fact, he would have been in an advantageous position considerably. He killed the 2 hatcheries at the top left early on. With that 4th base, if he secures that, holds there for a minute, rebuilds his composition. The mothership cloaking was really important in that first engagement with the Neural. It could have been better, though.
He started an observer immediately when the mothership was caught, so he expected that this fight was going on would go on for quite a while, that there would be multiple Neurals, and
well,
now
who
we
is
have the
ZENEX
next
gonna
player.
pick?
They're really going to go for a Zerg.
Line just came out, or just came to the studio, but it's not going to be him. There's going to be this guy who I don't even recognize. It's Life, in fact.
They really go for the ZVZ here.
Yep.
We mentioned earlier that while Protoss is one of the strongest matchups of Zenio, his ZVZ is actually his best.
You know what's cool is that they've chosen Daybreak as the map. Now what does that say? That's really interesting because on the Team Liquid they have a Protoss player, Hero, who would want to play against a Terran on this map, but otherwise, like, not many people complain about this map. It's so balanced. Some Terrans will say, I don't like playing against late game Protoss on Daybreak, but for the most part, this map choice just kind of seems like it's weird to pick for a ZVZ. You know what I mean? Like, this map is a map where he's just like, well, I don't want to play on this, I guess. Let's just get rid of this one.
The thing about the map for ZVZ is that builds with an early pool are not as powerful as on other maps because of the push distance. We've seen some aggressive pulls and even drone pulls on this map, but it's not that as common as on the other maps that we have on the map pool, as on a lot of the other maps that we have in the map pool. Yep. So we will have a 5-minute break, guys, and then we are back with Zenio against Live. Team Liquid, they have a 1-0 lead over their opponent, TL versus ZENEX here at the GSTL. Carl and Wolf, and we'll be back after 5.